Hi guys, today I'll be taking a look at the Logitech G Pro racing wheel and Pro pedals and testing it with the driving force shifter on Forza Motorsport. Details for all the items I'll be showing are in the description below, including purchasing links. So I'll be showing you around both the Pro racing wheel and Pro racing pedals. I'll show you how to connect it up with the driving force shifter, and we'll be seeing how well it performs in Forza Motorsport. I'll be installing it all on the new Playseat Challenge X Logitech G edition, which is a fold-away sim racing chair, to see if the chair can handle this direct drive racing setup. But before I begin, if you're new to the channel, hope you can support me by subscribing and hitting the bell icon to get notified of my next release. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Let's get started by unboxing the Pro pedals. Inside the box you get a sheet explaining how to grease the pedals, a box containing a card promoting the Logitech G Challenge, a micro USB to USB-A cable, a Logitech sticker and some documentation. There's another box containing some replacement springs, some dampeners for the brake, some grease and an Allen key, and finally the Pro racing pedals. Now unboxing the packaging for the Pro racing wheel, you get a sheet of paper with safety info and a card promoting the Logitech G Challenge. There's a small box containing a Logitech G sticker and some documentation. Then we have the Pro racing wheel, which comes protected in a cover. Then there's a UK power cable with a kettle connector, power adapter with a DC connector, a micro USB to USB-A cable, a desk clamp, and finally the Pro racing wheel base that comes protected with a cover. Let's get this set up on my sim cockpit, which is the Playseat Challenge X Logitech G edition, and my TV is the LG OLED G3 that's 65 inches in size. The pedal plate is easy to attach, with the holes perfectly matching to my sim cockpit via the mounting points underneath. Just remember to plug in the micro USB cable first, then attach. The wheelbase can be placed in position and attached via 2 screws at the back, and the shifter can be mounted directly next to it. Now I can connect the micro USB cable to the wheelbase, and I've plugged in the other end into my Xbox Series X. Next, plug in the USB cable from the pedals to the wheelbase and plug in the DC power. Now to connect up the driving force shifter, you're going to need to use the Logitech G racing adapter. The shifter connects directly into the adapter, and the USB cable on the adapter connects to the wheelbase. Taking a closer look at the wheelbase, is pretty heavy, weighing 7 kilos and capable of providing 11 Newton meters of torque, and has a maximum rotation of 1080 degrees. It's a direct drive wheelbase, meaning it contains motors to provide feedback directly to the user. The outer shell is made entirely of strong plastic, and Logitech have gone for a non-traditional design over the majority of direct drive wheelbases out there, which have a boxy or rectangular design with an aluminium metal outer shell. At the front of the wheelbase you have the connection point for the wheel, which has a quick release mechanism. On top of the base you have some LEDs for the rev counter and a small display with a button next to it to allow you to view the menu and to make changes directly to the wheelbase without using the Logitech G Hub software. Below that you have an on-off button. On the sides you have the Logitech G logo. There's also Pro written on top and just below the mounting point for the wheel. At the back you have the air vent, and above that you have True Force, which works with the dynamics of the car to give a more realistic racing experience. Below that you have a micro USB port, and the other end connects to your PC or gaming console. Next to that you have 3 USB ports, and this is where you can plug in your pedals, and finally a DC input. Onto the Pro racing wheel, it has a D-shaped design which is 300mm in diameter and made of metal with a brushed effect. It's finished in perforated leather all the way round, which is soft to touch and feels comfortable in your hands, with a metal center marker on the top. You have a number of controls directly on the wheel which are ergonomically placed, so everything is at close reach when driving. The Xbox buttons used for selecting have been split up on the left and right, and you've got a joystick for navigation instead of a D-pad. Lower down you have 2 turn knobs together with some other buttons. All the buttons, turn knobs and joysticks have a really good feel to them. Coming around the back you've got a quick release mechanism allowing you to quickly swap wheels in and out in seconds, but at this moment Logitech G don't have any additional wheels. Then we have the paddle shifters and dual clutch pedals. The top half of the shifters are magnetic, providing quick and precise shifting, while the bottom half are spring loaded, which allows you to control the clutch with a nice feel when you press down, with it having a comfortable distance away from the wheel. The pedals and the main plate holding the pedals is made of strong plastic with the G logo at the top and Pro below the pedals. There's 3 pedals, so accelerator, brake and clutch, constructed of metal with a solid build quality. Each of the pedal plates can be easily adjusted in terms of positioning on the holding plate, with the adjusters for this being underneath. I like how there's a measure on both the top and bottom, allowing you to accurately line up the pedals when adjusting or even removing it if you just wanted an accelerator and brake pedals, so lots of adjustability. You could even remove all the pedals and mount them inverted on a cockpit. Both the accelerator and clutch are spring loaded, and the brake has a 100kg load cell sensor to give a more realistic braking experience. The packaging comes with a couple of replacement springs for the accelerator and the clutch, together with a selection of rubber dampeners, all providing various degrees of tension. And the nice thing here is that you can easily adjust them without any tools. Just pull up at the lower part and the spring can easily be swapped. And on the brake, you can pull out and twist off the blue cap, and under there you'll find the dampeners. Underneath you've got rubber pads and screw holes for attaching to a sim cockpit, and there's a micro USB connection port where the other end connects to the wheelbase or directly into a PC if you wanted to use it with a different wheel. With the pedals, they've gone for a non-traditional design over the majority of Pro pedals, which are generally made entirely of steel, but nevertheless it has a good feel to it. Let's get started. So turning on the wheelbase, you'll see the display turns on, and this allows you to select the device you're connected to. So in my case, it's the Xbox Series X. Then turning on my Xbox and starting up Forza Motorsport, let me go into free play and start up a test drive on the Focus ST on Grand Oak Raceway with the transmission set to manual with clutch. So let's test out the wheel, and it seems to be working fine. As you can see, I'm turning the wheel and it matches up with what you're seeing on the screen, but it only covers 180 degrees in the cockpit view. If you turned it further, you don't see it turning any further on the screen. Paddle shifters are working fine, shifting up and down through the gears, and this change is represented on the screen as you can see. Next, onto the pedals, the accelerator is working as expected. When you press down, you can see the blue indicator moving on the screen at the same time, showing a progressive motion on how much the accelerator has been pressed. Similarly for the brake too, the further you press down, the red indicator on the screen moves accordingly. There's not an indicator for the clutch, but this can be used in conjunction when shifting and only applied if you've set the transmission to manual with clutch. And if you didn't want to use it, set the transmission to manual. Testing the shifter, and this doesn't seem to be working, so let's connect up the wheelbase to my PC and check if a firmware update is required. So looking in the Logitech G Hub software, and there's a firmware update required, so let me update it. And now that that's completed, let me restart the game, and testing the shifter, it seems to be working perfectly now. Testing with the clutch, and it seems to be working as expected. So you'd clutch down between gear changes and release the clutch once the gear is engaged. Let's do a test drive, and wow, the difference between this and the entry-level Logitech wheel is a big leap forward, with the racing experience feeling massively better, with it being very smooth, refined, and given a good amount of detail from bumps, curbs, and the track itself, helping to accurately experience the feedback, with it feeling much more refined and detailed. The torque levels feel very strong compared to the Phonetic CSL-DD and Moza R9. The pull from the wheel feels great, with the terrain feeding back really well through the wheel. The paddle shifters performed well, shifting through the gears, together with the pedals giving a great experience, being responsive and accurate. I've got the transmission set to manual with clutch, and you're able to use the shifter or paddle shifters in this mode. And just a note, you can change gear in this mode without pressing the clutch, without making any major difference on the car, so this may be more car dependent, I think. The shifter still feels like a toy, and I do wonder when Logitech will release an upgraded version of it, and hopefully even a handbrake. In terms of True Force, Forza Motorsport doesn't support it, unfortunately, so adjusting this makes no real difference in the game. Onto the brake pedal with the 100kg load cell sensor, and this works really well and feels more precise than the previous range of pedals from Logitech. It feels solid and rigid, giving a realistic braking experience. The accelerator feels smooth and retracts back well when transitioning to the brake pedal, moving on to the wheel, and it's awesome, with a comfortable feel when driving, and the controls on the wheel are all at easy reach too. The paddle shifters have an excellent feel to them, giving quite a satisfying feel when you're shifting up or down through the gears. And finally, taking a look at the sim cockpit, I actually felt like it did a great job with the Pro wheelbase and Pro pedals. Mounting wise, the holes married up perfectly. The way the frame's designed, with it having thin tubes, it's no surprise that you'd get a lot of movement with the heavy wheelbase mounted. Take a look at this. When I aggressively move the wheel, there's a lot of movement, and looking at the shifter mount, it isn't in the best location, but seriously, once it's folded, it takes up a minimal amount of space, making it ideal if you didn't have much space for a full rig. But just to note, with a heavier wheelbase and pedals, it does make it a little bit more unstable, so you'd want the front facing a wall in case it's knocked by accident. Overall, the experience does feel awesome, and it's the perfect upgrade if you wanted to move on from the entry-level G29, G9 G920 or the G923. Now if you didn't have a sim cockpit, then the Pro wheel can be desk mounted using the desk clamp provided. To attach the clamp, you just pull off the cover below the front of the wheelbase and push the clamp into place. You can open the clamp a maximum of 5.5 centimeters. Once you placed it on your desk, then just tighten the clamp, then attach the wheel, and you can see it stays firmly in place and works really well. The wheelbase works on both a PC and console. There's two versions available, like with the previous Logitech wheels, where it's either PC and PlayStation or PC and Xbox, which is the version I have here. To get it working on a PC, you just need to install the Logitech G Hub software, and going in there, this allows you to tweak various settings on both the wheel and pedals. Then you can just launch your game and start playing. Performance with a PC is just as good as it is with a console, but obviously the advantage of a PC is that you're able to use an ultra-wide monitor or a triple screen setup depending on the spec of your PC, which isn't possible with a console. So there you have it, you've come to the end of another video, and I hope it's helped anyone wondering if the new Forza Motorsport works with the Logitech Pro wheel, Pro pedals and driving force shifter. And for me it was quite interesting seeing it in action on the Playseat Challenge X Logitech G Edition. I personally think it wasn't too bad considering the build of the frame with its thin tubes. Let me know what you think of this setup. It would be interesting to know your thoughts. Details for all the items I've mentioned in today's video are in the description below, including purchasing links. And if you have any questions on this, then let me know in the comments below. For those of you who got to the end of this video, please leave a comment with Forza Pro, as it's nice to see who's got to the end of my video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can follow me on my socials. Don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to be notified of my next release. Thanks for viewing, and see you in the next one.